Oh, well, Rebirth of Legend here. We're going to be taking a look at a Spectre game. Quincy writes, would like to hear your comments on my Spectres. Playing Spectre a lot 3 to 5 months ago with enormous win rate, but now I'm mostly losing. I don't believe that strong laner meta is the reason, because Spectre's such a good hero. Grateful for all your pieces of advice on how to win Spectre again. We're going to, well, that's just loading up. We're actually going to we're going to look at this. So we're going to take a quick look at your itemization. We'll talk about that for a second before we get into the game. As you get an earn in this one, these go kind of late, so maybe you had Soldier earn. You seem to get Vanguard a lot in these games you lost, particularly when we go Midas into Vanguard. It's kind of weird. Like, if I'm feeling threatened, if I'm feeling safe enough to get a Midas, so the reason I get a Vanguard is because, like, I'm under constant pressure. Maybe they have, like, a Wind Ranger or something who it's pretty effective against, and she's the one hunting me down, or possibly maybe if I'm jungling a lot, or something weird like that. But if you're feeling safe enough to get a Midas, you don't want to follow up with a Vanguard. I think you just want to long haul it for the Radiance, because you're already putting your Radiance back by 2,000 gold, and another 2,000 gold here, and you lead to a 35-minute Radiance, which isn't the worst. It doesn't seem like you died a whole lot, so honestly I feel like if you just played safe with your Midas phase or whatever you had, you could have got a reasonable amount of farm without needing to fall back on that. But overall, you seem to have kind of slow radiances, so maybe your farming pattern's a little off. But in general, I do agree with your sentiment. Like, Dota, I think, when you're talking about a pro context, I think that's way more important than, like, a pub. Like, the pro scene, like, things are very timing centric. Coming out of your lane strong is really important. Having lanes that are lineups and shit that are easier to execute is very important. So, like, if you were playing Spectre in a pro game right now, it'd probably be pretty hard. I don't know if she's played right now, but if the momentum is very fast, Spectre can only fight every 2 minutes with Haunt up, right? And she farms kind of slow. Her laning is, like, generally pretty weak. So she can be contested easy. There's a lot more dual lanes now. Oh shit, I gotta turn the volume down here. There's, like, a lot more dual lanes now as well, which she doesn't like dealing with. Like, she wants, like, a weak offlaner who, like, doesn't bother her too much. And, like, you just don't have those things anymore. Holy shit, what the fuck happened here? As soon as you see this, like, there's no reason you can't just skill Spectral Dagger right now. Whether it's to run away or do whatever, because now you get charged. How do you even die here? Did you get... What did he bolt? Did he have normal bolt? I don't know why that hurts so much. Like, at any point in that, you could have Spectral Daggered to run away and you would have lived. Almost any point until that last nuke comes out, because then you were probably screwed. I guess I can understand you getting a little overconfident here. But, like, you had the high ground, you could have seen them coming. It's not really that big of a deal, though. Yeah, but, like, in general, I kind of agree with your sentiment. Like, when we play pub games, like, I'm about 5,000 MMR, and, like, even in my games, like, I can pick anti-mage into almost whatever lineup I want, and, like, if I execute well enough, I'm gonna win the game. Like, I can force, like, a 70% win rate on my anti-mage just by playing a hero that I'm comfortable with very well. Personally, I hate playing Spectre because I hate playing from behind. Not that I hate playing from behind. She's a very difficult hero to play from behind because she can't jungle well, unless you get items that allow her to jungle, like a mom, or like a mom, a ring of health, or a vanguard, and, like, she's still not fast. It just gives her HP and sustain to jungle. Like, she's never good at jungling. So, like, the problem is when you run into lanes like this, it can be very hard for Spectre to do much, because, like, you can't really harass a space cow. The Zeus is gonna bother you, and here you need to be using aggro tricks to pull this towards you. I talk about it in a lot of other videos I make. I don't really feel like going into great detail, but basically, you can attack a hero when you're within 500 range of a creep wave and pull it back. Maybe I'll put Chak's guy. I think his name's Chak. I don't know. He's some, like, advanced guide to Soul in there where he talks about creep aggroing. It's a very, very important skill to have, particularly when you're facing difficult lanes. But yeah, like, I don't really, like, I stopped playing Spectre. Like, I had a lot of Spectre games, but the games are always fucking traumatic because it's literally just you getting like, completely shit stomped and raped. You should rush it. Okay, you are rushing a stick here. That's good. The games are always you just getting shit canned for, like, the first, like, 20 minutes, and then, like, maybe you get a Radiance, and then you, like, long haul it to victory. But it's like, I don't always want to play 60-minute Spectre games. And, like, that feels like what you're asking for every time you play this hero. Even if you win, the games are, like, fucking traumatic. Like, you'll win this game, and then you'll play your next game, and you'll lose in 20 minutes, right? So, like, you just fought, like, a 60, 70-minute game for a win on a Spectre, and then your life sucks. Anyway. But I kind of like your opening, the 8 Tango into fucking everything. All my bank accounts and everything are fucking closing. It's super annoying. Keep getting pop-ups about it. But yeah, like, I kind of like your opening. You start off with a good amount of regen, lets you take some of the sustain. Most of it is magic damage, so having a poor man shield doesn't really matter. Like, you're probably going to right-click like 2 or 3 times. It hasn't mattered. So lots of tangos is good. Being aware enough to know that stick's going to be your most effective form of regen right now is really smart. Coiling Blade's going to help you get those last hits under tower. You definitely want to try and get a level in the Desolate to make your creeping a little easier, because right now you're just barely at the threshold of not being able to fight against the tower for last hits. It's really annoying. Like you have, when you add a Coiling Blade's 24 damage, you got 49 plus 24, puts you at 73 damage. It's about 75, 80 damage where you can, like, reliably last hit under tower. Even 75 never feels right. Like, even 80, the tower will screw you with its random damage increments sometimes, so that's a little annoying. But I think what we're going to see is, after the laning phase breaks down, like let's be honest, if you were winning 70% of your games, like, the mechanics probably aren't what's bothering you too much. Maybe the meta well, like, when you're playing at low MMR, it's always been 2-1-2, so I can't see the cancer lanes really being the change. I think it's probably going to be, like, your farming patterns that maybe hurt, and, like, I noticed you got I think in this game you get a pipe and a Vanguard, which is kind of foolish. Like, I can understand getting, like, the hood, maybe even a full pipe. It's not bad on Spectre, really, but, like, you probably only want to get one of those sustain items. You could have gotten away with just having a hood rush if you wanted to. Like, they have a ton of magic damage. I wouldn't blame you. Like, when Space Cow charges you, like, let's take a look at it. Space Cow, magic damage, magic damage, magic damage. She's all magic damage. Her ult's even magic until she gets an Ags. This guy's a huge magic damage. It's really good. I have no problem with you doing that. And honestly, like, a Vanguard, when people have Drow Aura, it kind of hurts because it basically just negates your Vanguard and just turns the game back to, like, a normal game. So it's like 2,000 gold to, like, return it to, like, base normality. But yeah, like, that's not really that big of a deal. But I just think getting both of those puts you behind, because, like, you want to Manta this game, because, like, when you want to haunt, you want to find the fucking Drow, you haunt on her, pop your Manta, and you murder her. Like, that's the easiest. Like, that's why you should be a pretty good Drow counter. Like, it kind of sucks. Like, it's kind of a back and forth similar to playing anti-mage, right? Because Drow pushes really hard and she has a silence. Silences kind of annoy you. Pushing hard definitely annoys you. But once you finish that Manta, like, same as anti-mage, you're a hero that just gets in her fucking face and she can't do anything about it. Like, you just go on her and you kill her and she dies. That's it. I do think Abyssal Blade is a reasonable 6th item on Spectre, so I can understand getting a Vanguard for that. The problem is you don't want to, like, get the Vanguard saying, like, oh, well, 40 minutes later I'm going to turn it into an Abyssal, so it's worth it. Like, having a faster Radiance is always, like, your goal when you play Spectre should be get as fast of a Radiance as you reasonably and safely can. And, like, getting an Urn just kind of makes you a little more tanky, lets you combat a little more, helps keep your sustain up when you're jungling, helps you in fights a little bit. Like, it does a bunch of things for you, and it's such a low cost, which is why people have built Urn on Spectre. Like, if you're getting a Vanguard just because, like, you know, it'll pay off later, you know, it'll turn into an item, all you're doing is pushing back your Radiance timing by, like, way more than you want to, which is really bad. Like, the hero's all about edging out. Like, that's why you see people get, like, Urn is kind of relying on you getting kills for its sustain to actually be valuable, right? But people do it because it's such a low cost compared to a Vanguard. Like, a Vanguard's 2,200 gold or so. I think it's 2,250. Now I'm doing the math on it. No, it's just 2,050. No, 2,150. Yeah, 2,150. I'm sorry. Well, an Urn is like 800. So you get an Urn for, like, way less gold, and it does, like, a similar thing, but just requires you to play active. But it's not hard for Spectre to get Urn charges. Anytime your team goes for a pickoff, you haunt in, get a couple of Urn charges, go back to farming for 2 minutes, and that 800 heal that you get from those 2 Urn charges is enough to support your jungling, or maybe help you get a kill. If you get multiple Urn charges in one engagement, that's awesome. But yeah, so it's, like, kind of low risk in that respect. You're rarely going to regret doing that. This is bad. You need level in Desolate. Like, I don't think you really want to complete level Dispersion. Like, Dispersion, if you look how it functions, 10, 14, 18, 22. First level gets you 10%, each level after that it's increasing by 4%. That scales really well with large amounts of HP, which you don't have. You're not mitigating a whole lot more by leveling this. Desolate's going to help you get last hits under tower. It's going to help you jungle a little bit because you can kill small creeps and Desolate works on the big creeps. You can amp the damage you're doing to it. And maxing Spectral Dagger is really good for your fighting. So you really want to max your Spectral first usually. Sometimes you can get it with maxing Desolate. But these are always the things you want to max first. You don't ever max Dispersion. Like I think I've seen Arteezy do it in games before, and it always struck me as fucking stupid. You just don't really get a whole lot out of leveling Dispersion past level 1. It does not scale as well as your other abilities. Like 65 damage is a ton early game, right? Or 20, 35, 50, 65, like bonus pure damage. It's a huge amount early game. The Spectral Dagger, it's a reasonable nuke, and that's a huge speed change early game. Like, these are early game things, and Dispersion scales like when you have a heart. When you get these 2 talents for 20 strength and 400 HP, 8 stats and 5 armor or whatever, that's when Dispersion starts kicking in. Like, when you hit level 25, that's when you have maximum utilization out of Dispersion. You aren't getting a lot of leveling that early, even if you're getting harassed by some doorknob like this. Like, I'm okay with you getting the Ring of Health here. I'm even okay with you going full pipe right now. Hood, which is just adding a cloak and a ring of health into it. Like, I'm totally fine with you doing that right now instead of an urn. Because of how much magic damage they have, I think it could very easily pay off for you. But leveling the Dispersion is a mistake. For a variety of reasons. Like, one of the ways you catch up, like, if your lane is shitty, is by ganking and getting killed. And Dispersion's not going to help you do that. It's just going to let them ignore you and not get punished for it. Try and speed this up a little bit. Get the charge through. Survive there. You stuck around way too long there. Like, what level is the Zeus here? He's level 5. He's probably close to 6, I would think. Yeah, he's pretty close. Like, you know there's a Space Cow in the game, right? So, like, when you're playing this, they get you super low with this gank or whatever, and you live, which is fucking great. But, like, you know how low you are. You have a ring of health, but you're still in, like, an easy burstable threshold right now. So, like, here, you run from this dude, you get in the tree line, you eat your tango, and you sit in the tree line right now. Like, right now, you just sat, like, way too close up here. Like, it sucks, but you're probably going to miss most of this. Like, what I would do is walk back here, quelling through one of these trees, quelling through another tree, maybe try and bounce in, get a random creep, and then bounce back out. Like, you don't want to sit in vision. Like, if the Space Cow's not looking at you, he's going to charge somewhere else or whatever. Or he'll have a small window when you're in vision picking up that creep to then, like, come bother you and try and get that charge off on you. But, like, you just exposed yourself here for far too long, made yourself a target, and you're in a weird position. Like, right here, that Zeus is already running past because they have a big creep wave. Like, you should basically know you're fucked here, and there's not much you can do about it. If you were full HP, I don't think you die here, honestly. Like, he's not level 6, Space Cow's not level 6. You could have gotten away by just sitting here. Like, because you could take the experience, too. Like, even if you're super scared, you want to play really safe. Like I said, quelling through, come out and get a random creep. But, like, he walked up here because he saw you, right? So let's, like, look at this. Let's look at this positioning. You get out, because, you know, there is no God. But you come and show, and he sees you there, and he's like, oh, okay, I'm just going to run past him. As soon as he sees that charge go off, he's just confident as fuck, like, right in front of you. And he's a Zeus. He didn't even have to right-click you there and aggro that tower like a dumbass. Like, you had multiple ways to play this, and that was the worst one. Once again, you go into here, and if you're sitting right here, you'll still get full experience from that. This is about, I think experience range is about 1200, so right here you'll still be in experience range. You can cut into the tree a little bit and maybe pop out for a creep. But because you expose yourself like that, the Zeus started playing up on you, the Space Scout charged you, and you died. And you only had to sit there for maybe 10 more seconds. 10 more seconds gets you another like 70 HP, 80 HP, and you barely died there. Yeah, 10 more seconds gets you 80 HP almost. So, like, that kind of would have put you in, like, an okay position. Maybe you would have gotten Haunt up or whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter if you have Haunt up. You don't have the mana to support it. The point is just, like, where you stood was, like, the worst way to approach that. Like, you know you're still in burst threshold. You know his charge is going to come back up. And that his HP was still relatively high. And the Zeus fucking hurts. Like, all you need to do is hit... Like even if hypothetically the Zeus wasn't in that position, if he just sat in his creep wave, hit level 6, like the Space Cow charge and the Zeus ult would kill you, or come very, very, very close to it. But we've harped on that enough. It's bad positioning. Like I said, like Spectre is about like let's look at this. Like, 20 minutes in, a Spectre lineup should be like 2,000 behind at a minimum, right? And if the Spectre team's ever ahead, like, you're losing this game of Dota right now, because Spectre out carries pretty much every hero in Dota except like Silver Edge carries and maybe a Medusa. But besides that, like, everyone should struggle. That's a shame your Lich was out of position there. If he got him with the all right, maybe you okay. Maybe it's not unfortunate. Maybe I'm a liar. So he's got to go. You might have saved him. Yeah, you got him. Good job. No, don't overcommit on this. You call your team back and you back away. Like, you don't do anything in these situations. Like, now there's too many people here. You don't want to be here. You need to back away from this lane immediately and go find a more productive way to spend your time. Because I'm just sharing experience, and you know there's like 3 or 4 people here. You're going to be roped into this engagement that you don't want any part of. Let's see if I'm wrong again, though. Like, notice how you're just running in circles right now. It's wasting a lot of time. You're not level 6. Like, you don't really want to fight until you're level 6, and you can, like, haunt in, and then you can pick your target. Okay, you're getting a creep wave here. That's good. So that didn't go out as badly. But, like, just going for that fight in general is, like, not good. Because it ends in heartbreak more often than it ends. Like, what are you going to do in that? Oh, you throw out one Spectral Dagger. Maybe they don't try and focus you down, but the Zeus does so much AoE damage that after that fight's done, you have to walk home anyway. And if, like, the Space Cow sees you, charges you, and the Zeus blows his load on you, you're probably dead there too. Like, you're not tanky at all right now. You don't have that hood up. And now you're just sitting getting harassed by this guy. It's kind of annoying. Yeah, I would have liked to, like, I wouldn't mind seeing the cloak here. The Vanguard's also okay. Or sorry, the, fuck, I keep saying cloak. Whatever that thing is. The Hood of Defiance, I wouldn't mind seeing. And, like, here you, like, kind of went back, and you might die for this one, too. You should have a charge up again in a second. Yeah, I had no mana. Like, you just kind of turned back into that, and once again, you found yourself taking more harass damage than you did. Like, you have to look at a scenario and know when to cut your losses. Well, it's just screwed you again, too, maybe. Like, you have to be able to look at a scenario and know when to cut your losses. Yeah, and that was, like... I mean, that sucked that they rapped like that. But, like, you're a Spectre, too. Like, I think it's totally fine for you to just run to places that are safe and not keep, like, overcommitting on, like, this lost lane. Like, they're just here just trying to fuck with you, right? Walk middle. Take this creep wave where the tier 1's dead. Walk bottom. Take this creep wave. Like, push this creep wave to the tier 1 here. If you see or feel like they're rotating, you just walk away. Maybe you go farm one camp here, one camp there, move to the hard lane. Like, it's fine for you to just walk in between, like, safe creep waves. It's a little annoying because you can get Space Cow charged, but they have to kill you with basically a Spear Breaker and a Zeus ult, which isn't the greatest combo. Like, the Zeus ult doesn't do all that much. And once you have that Vanguard, I think you're out of the range, unless you get bashed into the ground. You're out of the threshold to getting killed by Nether Strike and Charge, unless he gets, like, a triple, quadruple, like, right-click bash on you. And then if you get that, if you went for the Defiance, I think it's the same thing. This is also a lower cost. Like, I think Hood's like 1,700. Let's see. Yeah, 1,725 versus 2,150. So it, like, gets you to that interim item quicker, you know? Kind of like what we talked about with the urn. Get a kill, but, like, keep in mind, like, how many creeps you haven't been getting because you're doing so much fighting up here. Like, once you see these people come up, I'm telling you, just carry a TP and just TP somewhere else and don't worry about it. It's not worth you committing so much time into trying to fight places. Like, that's probably one of my, like I get way too headstrong about games, too. I can never fucking message him. Yeah, I actually just thought my microphone's been muted this whole time, but it's only muted in Discord, and I almost got really sad. Yeah, we're still going for the Vanguard. Like, you don't... Here's the thing, like, you don't even need to get the Vanguard right now. Like, if you notice the fighting stopped, and they're not, like, up your ass all the time anymore, like, once this tier 1 went down, like, they might stop being up your ass as much. You can kind of wait and decide on that. Like, you don't have to still commit on this Vanguard, because that's 1,100... Like, that's not a small amount of gold. 1,100's a lot. You could just sit on a Ring of Health and a Stout, and it's not really that big of a deal. It gives you almost as much as a full Vanguard does. Well, like, in terms of jungling, sorry, I should clarify. I mean, 250 HP is a lot, and, like, it might save you a couple of times, but if you can, like, not spend a huge amount of time around here, like, sitting in a lane, waiting to get gone on, or if you're, like, if you have good map awareness and some decent vision, like, it's totally fine for you to, maybe skip that. This game is a little rough because there's a Spirit Breaker, but hypothetically, if there wasn't a hero with, like, a global presence like that, then I think you could be totally justified in just sitting on a Ring of Health. I think that's something you should consider, and I would imagine you probably don't consider enough. Like, now you're getting charged. You could see the Zeus angling for you. Cool. And you just casually walk out. That was a bold TP, wasn't it? I think it was. Nice. But cool, like, you made your movement. Now you're at another place where you can get some safe farm. They wasted their time going top. That was good. That was really good. But now you're at the long haul for a Radiant starting at, like, 15 minutes, which kind of blows. Like, that kill, like, keep in mind, like, the way this went down, whether you had the Vanguard or not didn't matter. This, you're nowhere close to dying again. So Vanguard didn't matter. You're farming lanes, so Vanguard doesn't matter. Like, I'm saying this just to point out, like, the situation that arose, it didn't matter. Here, no, didn't matter there either. It might be pretty nice to have against Alina. I don't know. It's okay. But the thing, though, is, like, here's how you have to think about it. When you get that Radiance, like, you farm pretty quick on Spectre. Like, she farms pretty well with the Radiance. Like, not Naga Siren fast, not Alchemist fast, but, like, you could probably get 10, 12 creeps a minute pretty well, because you don't have the problems that some of those other heroes have, where they need to, like, TP into fights or beat places and, like, be ready to fight. You basically play, like, as greedy as you can play. Ugh. You play as greedy as you can play. And also, I think you could have gone right with, like, an Iron Talon. What was I saying? Yeah, you play, like, as greedy as you can, get as many creeps as you possibly can, and then haunt into fights. And your team should really try and fight around haunt, and not fight when haunt is down. Like, that's pretty much the gist of how it works. But yeah, like, right now, you only need, like, 1,000 more gold, and then you would have had a relic had you not gotten the full Vanguard. And it looks like you're, at this rate, it's going pretty well. Like, things are pretty pushed in. You're able to get your farm pretty easily. Yeah, so you're not even getting low anymore. You could argue that they're ignoring you because you have a Vanguard, but I don't think these people are thinking that far ahead. They're not great players. But yeah, like right now, you'd have your relic. It's actually going really well for you guys now. Like, you guys are actually throwing together some wins in these fights. And you're not dying anymore, which is really big. But, here, where are we running now? Like, I feel like you've been running back and forth between fights a lot, too, and not, like, creeping. Like, the game itself is kind of chaotic. You guys are at over 2 kills a minute, which kind of sucks. Like, Spectre doesn't want to play a 2-kill-a-minute game, because, like, your haunt was only up at 10 minutes, which means you've only had 6 haunts since, or, like, 6 potential haunt opportunities since then. You gotta be careful with your mana management. You don't want to sit, you want to be at least 300 mana when you're Spectre, because you want to be able to haunt and then go in and dagger someone. And like right now you can't do that. Like you can barely get your haunt off right now, let alone a spectral dagger. So like now instead of you being able to farm that creep wave because your haunt's up, you don't have mana, so you have to walk back now. And it's even fine to like send yourself creep waves and stuff. Like this is just not the situation you want to be in. Like, now you did it again, though. Like, you don't have haunt mana. Like, this isn't entirely on you. Like, the LC should not be dead and should be there to, like, spam shit out. But he's not. And you dying here is a catastrophe, too. Like, you're really low now. Eh. This game's still pretty winnable. Yeah, there's your Radiance. Like this looks bad, but keep in mind, this is the window where they are literally at their strongest relative to you. Going for the heart now, I think that's okay. It's very defensive. The problem is they're going to be able to burst you down, like, pretty hard. Is she building Silver Edge? She's getting a Deso like a dumbass. Like, the whole reason is you build a Shadow Blade on a hero like Drow doesn't necessarily need it. Same thing with Lena. She's not building it, but it's more core on Lena than it is on Drow. Like, is because you're against a Spectre, and Break annihilates Spectre. Like, that's one of the reasons I stopped playing her, is because the mechanic Break just basically shut down this hero. Like, you lose, like, 22% EHP the minute you're hit with it. And then you lose all your damage from Desolate, too. Like, you just get completely fucked. Where did you just go? Oh, you turn invisible. I was looking at the wrong perspective. Let's see how you take this first Haunt fight, actually. I was kind of rambling, so we didn't talk about it too much. So, like, they're coming up right now. Okay, we de-aggro the tower. They're all up. I wouldn't be surprised if this movement should be coming. I would back as soon as that 4 comes through, you back out. But you go for this creep wave, and that's not the play you want to make. So, you know they have a Spirit Breaker. That charge is going to start on you as soon as these people are up. Now, like, you're getting to a point because you're trying to get greedy on this creep wave, and you're committing on this tower. This tower is if that tower had 300 HP, maybe. The tower is literally at full. There's not a whole lot you can do here. Maybe you feel desperate because you lost to Lena Rax, but, like, you literally just hit, like, one of your main power spikes, where as soon as you get your Radiance, like, your relative strength to the enemy is at one of its highest points. The next is when you finish your probably Heart, and they don't have Silver Edges, or Manta if they do have Silver Edges. And, like, it just depends on their lineup, too. Like, having Manta against this lineup is really good, because you can jump on a Zeus, who's dead, has no way to really defend himself except maybe a Yule's. You could jump on a Lena, who doesn't really have a way to defend herself, except a Yule's, once again. And the Drow, who has a Shadow Blade, but if she opens with her Shadow Blade on someone, and then you haunt in on her, she's dead. And, like, you have slots, too. You can even carry Dust, which means that Shadow Blade just becomes bad for her, because it negates the move speed on it entirely, I think. 20%. Let's see what Dust... Dust is, like, 18, maybe? No, it's... Here's 20... Wait, what? It's used to slow. Does it not slow anymore? That's so strange. It used to slow. I have to look this up. I'm getting pretty mad right now. But yeah, like, you overcommitted here. And you basically, like, this is like a game-throwing moment. Like, once you have that Radiance up, you have such a huge amount of, like, potential GPM just by farming, right? And like we said, like, you want to fight around your Haunt's up, let your team four-man, you push in top. Like, top sucks because it's now, like, a shittier lane of creeps, but that's a constant wave of creeps that's going to be coming to you. So you don't never have to worry about, like, finding a safe place to farm. Like, you're always going to have, like, this... Motherfucking hate this stupid replay shit sometimes. Like, you're always going to have this area to farm now. Like, very safely. But now you walk into that Drow. Like, you kind of dragged your team into this fight that they didn't want to take. I mean, sure, they're probably, like, did they realize they didn't want to take it? Who knows? But, like, you guys just got shit on. Like, you gotta keep in mind, they're still out of gold advantage. Like, they took a set of racks. They're all farming. You just hit your Radiance at 24 minutes. Like, while you felt relatively strong... Like, you're not unstoppably strong. Did you even use your Haunt in that? Yeah, you did. Yeah, like, Manta... I think you probably want the Manta over a Heart just so you can take people the fuck out. Not to mention also increases your farming, and you can waste their time by using the Manta. Like, you could send a Manta to push a lane when you have Radiance, and it's going to push a lane pretty quickly. And you can send another one to farm a camp. So you can aggressively farm with your Manta and also increase your GPM. So that's really something to think about. Like, when you're thinking about the items you want to get, like, think about it in terms of what this item does to get you to your next item, right? Like, you can go... like, let's say you can get the Vanguard or the Radiance. If you're going for both of these items, getting one of them... Which one first will help you get the second? Like... This is probably a bad example. Let's pretend the Vanguard's an Assault Cuirass. If I want an Assault Cuirass and a Vanguard in this game, which one's going to help me get to the other one quicker? And the answer is the Radiance going to help you get to an Assault Cuirass faster, because the Radiance provides much more creeping potential. And even if we look at these two items, it's true. It's just that the cost is so variable it didn't seem like equal. So like if you want a Manta Radiance as your first 2 items, you get the Radiance first. That's going to help you farm a lot faster, and then you'd get the Manta. So like let's say it takes me 6 minutes to farm. We'll say it takes you 8 minutes to farm a Radiance, right? Which I guess that's probably a pretty reasonable time. We don't have any other farming items. And then once you have that Radiance up, it's going to increase your GPM by like 400. And then it's going to take you only another 5 minutes or so to farm that Manta. While if you reversed it, the Manta's not going to help with your farming. So, well, we went from 12 minutes for those 2 items, or 13 minutes for those 2 items. You probably jump up to like 16, 17 minutes for those 2 items. So since Manta and Radiance work so well together, getting those items in sequence can multiply your farm. Then that'll get you to your heart faster. Like maybe if you went like Manta Radiance, or like Manta Radiance then heart, you might have that over 25 minutes. While if you went like Radiance Manta heart, you would have that over 20 minutes or something. I don't really want to get caught up on like the numbers here because it's not relevant. Like the idea is really what we want to get across here. It's more like what helps you accelerate into your following items, right? Like that's why sometimes I'll get fast boots of travel and anti-major Medusa, just because having travels on those heroes increases your GPM by like 200 or 300. And while then there's something you eventually want, like probably reasonably fast, so getting it earlier is not really a big deal. But yeah, like that was kind of like a throwing fight. Like you kind of had momentum on your side until you died right there. And that one set was totally recoverable. But now your life is kind of rough. And you got a Blade Mail queued up. I never feel right about Blade Mail. I mean, it's probably okay. I don't usually get it. It's like too many cheap items, you know? But I think you're going to change your mind on that and go for the hood anyway. The thing is, like, hypothetically, if they're knocking on my front door, I don't have money for a Yasha or an Ultimate Orb, but I have enough for, like, Blade Mail or something like that. Well, sorry, I think for 2100 gold, Blade Mail gives you a lot more than a Yasha does, but it's just like, you want a Manta so bad that maybe you take the risk that you win the fight with the Yasha over the Blade Mail. Yeah, maybe you take the fight that you take the risk that you win the fight with the Yasha over the Blade Mail just because you'd rather have a Radiance, you know? But I could understand getting it if, like, it's just like I need to hold right now or this game's over type of thing. Now you're under... The team gets melted. Like, it's so easy to get these people to fucking dive. Like, they have a Spirit Breaker. Spirit Breaker is, like, the most throwy hero in Dota because they're going to try and force... Like, he's going to force situations. And now you guys are fighting, like, outside your tower. Yep, and that's pretty much game. Like, you guys took this fight outside of your base. Well, you could have waited until they were, like, grouped up here. Maybe had your LC go forward or duel someone. And then you haunt it, and then you catch the Lina on the back line or something. Like, that's how that fight you wanted it to go down. And let's see, was it your fault that it was taken out there? I think it was. Like, you're just playing, like, way too aggro. Like, you gotta, yeah, so you dagger on him. When you throw that dagger out, like, your team might have looked at that as a situation to go. Like, they were all kind of walking up too, but you're definitely the one furthest out front who starts this whole thing. Like, look, you walk most forward. You throw the dagger because that guy gets kind of low. Your team is backing up, and then you just committed them into this fight they can't win. Because you're down quite a lot. Like, a 10k net worth difference isn't a lot 30 minutes from now, but it's probably a lot right now. Yeah, they have 33% more gold than you. Because you have to think of net worth in relative terms, not absolute terms, more often than not. So, like, right now it's 33% more gold than you, but if they maintain this 11k edge for the next 30 minutes, that's only going to be like a 12% relative gold advantage. What the fuck was this? But yeah, like now you're like, the thing is, like, the one set, like the problem you're having now is, like, you let yourself, like, throw too much. And like, I don't care what happens for the next 14 minutes. Like, it's not really a big deal. But like, you need to have a decisive, convincing hold at this next set, and you didn't. Because like, they have the luxury of is throwing bodies at you, right? Like, they have the oh man, what's his name? Zap Brown. They have the Zap Brannigan strategy on their side, where they can just huck bodies at your tower, and they can, like, now they've gotten so there's only a range left in your mid set. Your top set's down, and they only have one bottom set left, and they have a really good team to just abuse like a scenario like that, because they have a Drow who gets a Dragonlance, outranges your tower. They have a Lena who could buy a Dragonlance and outrange your tower. I think she even gets at level 20. She can just outrange towers too. So they have that on their side. And the problem is, like, when you took this fight out here, and when you took that fight at their tower, you gave them scenarios where they were able to take your racks with, like, much less of a risk, right? Like, you want to put them in a scenario where they're in the most, like, dangerous state for them to be in. And, like, you didn't do that. So you basically handed them the win. Do they have Aegis for this? When the fuck did Aegis go down? I was not paying attention. Huh. I don't know who took that. I don't even know when that happened. Whatever. Actually, I guess it's respawning soon. No, I don't know. Did you guys take it? Am I crazy? No. Whatever. It doesn't matter. But yeah, like, they could just walk up here, siege this relatively safely, and then you guys have a really awkward fight you have to take. Because the LC's going to have to blink in and duel someone to start a fight. And he's going to die. He's fucking horribly behind because you got 7 strength over 20 experience gain and probably sucks dick besides that. But yeah, like, that puts him in a terrible position. But that's your really only form of initiation. Plus, it's against a Dazzle, which means he can't even actually win a duel, which is his other problem he's experiencing. But yeah, like, you guys might be able to get them to rush you, but these are, like, such long-range heroes. Like, Drow is super long-range. Lena does. Zeus definitely does. The only person who rushes is a Spirit Breaker, so getting off, like, a huge Chain Frost is so hard, too. But, like you could have won. If you didn't screw up your mana management, this defense might have went better. If you didn't take this fight here, like, stupidly as they were respawning, you could have won that. If you didn't push out here, you could have... Like, the thing is, like, all of those might have been, like, low probability things, right? Like, this fight going well might have been, like, a 40% chance, a 35% chance if you had the mana and were pushing, but you would have gotten a little more gold, right? And maybe you take that fight a little better. Maybe you only lose the tower. Maybe you only lose one racks. Maybe something was a little better there, but, like, you played that fight in the worst way, like, one of the worst ways you could. You just kind of danced in and out. You never quite had enough mana to actually use all your abilities, and it just kind of was, like, rough all around. So, like, there's a chance of that fight going right. There's a very, very minimal chance of this fight going right. And this fight going right is also a very low chance. But, like, all of those have a small chance of succeeding, depending on their botching execution, your team doing kind of well. Like most things are, like, winnable to a certain extent. But you just, like, put yourself in, like, the worst scenario for all these things, right? Like, if you just, like, this was low probability, but if you take that fight in your base, it's much higher probability of, like, it succeeding, you know? And, like, while they're trying to siege, like, the LC can chip them down with, like, overwhelming odds. Maybe a Frost Blast or something. Or maybe the Dazzle just walks up to here to try and place a ward, and your LC is able to jump, duel, and Skywrath ults him, and then once that Dazzle's dead, like, he can't Shallow Grave the duel because he's dueled. So, like, you have things like that going for you that, like, could have worked out. But, like, you put yourself in bad situations, let them take, like, little objectives at a time, little team fights, and now they're at a point where your last remaining set is at 3. Like, Spectre does not handle Mega Creeps well. That's one of her weakest points as a carry. She does not handle pushing bigger waves out because you're reliant on Radiance Burn to, like, push things out. So these creeps having more HP just takes you longer to push things out. It just sucks. Like, it's kind of like trying to push Megas with, like, a Naga. And to a lesser extent, Alchemist, because Alchemist does pretty well with, like, a Battle Fury or raw attack speed, so you can re-itemize on Alchemist to deal with it well. But there's nothing you can do on, like, a Spectre or a Naga. You just have to dedicate more illusions and more time to each wave, and it's just progressively harder for you to deal with. But yeah, so this game comes down to, like, you misplaying several fights in a row, you not mana managing in the bottom lane. Like, all those things just added up. Like, we don't even need to watch the end of this because, like, even if I give you the benefit of the doubt of, like, your next fight going really well, like, this, like, you losing this Rax is, like, borderline inevitable.
like, I can't see a scenario where, like, you somehow, like, hold this and then, like, push and win a game. Like, it's just extremely hard for you to do. Like, the odds of you turning this game at this point, like, they would have to be, like, 3 of them would have to disconnect and abandon. Like, that is actually the point you're at right now. And those 3 would have to include, like, the Drow and the Lena. Because the Drow and the Lena could probably, like, 2v5 you guys, almost, at this point. Just because, like, their objectives are so fucking easy. Try to manage TI plans over here. Try to figure out what we're doing. But yeah, like, at this point, there's not much more to say. We kind of beat it to death. If you want to just look over those fights and see if you think I misanalyzed something, but overall, like, you definitely just, like, it could be hard to control your pubs. Like, I don't necessarily blame you for that, but a lot of those were you, like, putting your pubs in a bad situation, not your pubs putting you in a bad situation. It's important to distinguish those things because, like here, like we said, you're the one who kind of threw that dagger and kind of went on the Drow a bit. Like, you didn't throw the dagger and walk away. You threw the dagger and moved forward, and then your team moved forward, and then duels happened, and everything went to shit. And, like, here, this was you pushing the tower as they all respawned, and then, like, thinking they're not going to try and fight you, you know? But yeah, that's it. So we're going to end this video. I'll upload it. You know, you can feel free to send me more things. Hope you found it helpful.